If you get money from Ottawa every month, mark this date right now, Thursday, August 27th. That's when your Canada pension plan, your old age security, and if you qualify, your guaranteed income supplement will land in your bank account. And this month's deposit is a little different because it carries the biggest increase of the year. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how much more is coming, whether you qualify for it, and one mistake that quietly costs some seniors hundreds of dollars a year without them ever knowing it happened. Let's start with the basics because I want everyone watching to feel confident, not confused. The Canada Pension Plan, or CPP, is the pension you paid into during your working years. It comes from Service Canada, the federal department that manages your retirement benefits. Old Age Security, or OAS, is different. You don't pay into it directly. It's based on how many years you've lived in Canada as an adult, and the Guaranteed Income Supplement, or GIS, is a top-up for lower-income seniors who already receive OAS. 3 different programs, 1 deposit, same day, same account. Here's why August matters. Every July, October, January, and April, OAS and GIS are reviewed and adjusted for the cost of living. This past increase came in at 1.2%, and it's the largest quarterly bump of the year. That means if you're between 65 and 74, your maximum OAS payment is now approximately $752 a month. If you're 75 or older, you get an automatic 10% top-up on top of that, bringing your maximum to roughly $827 a month. That's not a typo. Turning 75 doesn't just add candles to your cake. It adds real money to your pension permanently for the rest of your life. Now let me introduce you to someone. Ellen, 68, lives just outside Halifax. She spent 31 years working the front desk at a regional hospital before retiring at 65. Ellen takes CPP and OAS together, and last month she told me something a lot of viewers tell me. She assumed her deposit would be the same every single month forever. It isn't. Ellen's OAS just went up because of the quarterly adjustment. Her CPP, on the other hand, only changes once a year, every January. 2 programs, 2 different clocks, 1 combined deposit. If you've ever looked at your bank statement and wondered why the number moved slightly from last month, this is usually why. But here's what most people miss about CPP specifically. The maximum CPP retirement pension for someone starting at 65 this year is $1,507.65 a month. But almost nobody actually gets that. The average new CPP recipient is receiving about $925 a month. Why the gap? Because the maximum requires close to 39 years of contributions at or near the top earnings level. Most people had a few lower income years, some time raising kids, a layoff, a career change. None of that is a failure on your part. It's just how the formula works, and it's why comparing your own CPP to a neighbor's is almost never useful. Your contribution history is yours alone. Let's talk about when you started collecting because timing changes everything. If you took CPP at 60 instead of waiting for 65, your payment was permanently reduced by 36%. If you waited until 70 instead of starting at 65, your payment is permanently increased by 42%. That's not a penalty or a bonus from Service Canada trying to punish or reward you. It's simple math. Start earlier, get a smaller amount for more years. Start later, get a bigger amount for fewer years. There's no universally right answer here. It depends on your health, your other savings, and honestly, how long the people in your family tend to live. I'm not going to tell you which choice is right for you because I don't know your situation, but I want you to know the mechanism so nobody can talk you into a decision using numbers you don't understand. Now, GIS, this is the benefit that trips people up the most because unlike CPP and OAS, GIS depends entirely on your income from the year before. This year, if you're single, widowed, or divorced, and your income other than OAS is under roughly $22,800 a year, you may qualify for GIS, up to a maximum of around $1,100 a month. For couples where both partners receive OAS, the combined income cutoff is higher, and the maximum GIS is split between the two of you. Here's the retention hook I promised you. GIS is recalculated every single July using last year's tax return. That means if you didn't file your taxes this spring, your GIS payment might already be reduced or suspended, and you may not even realize why your deposit looks smaller. Let me introduce Robert, 71, from Saskatoon. Robert worked 38 years as a millwright before retiring. He gets CPP and OAS. But he assumed he made too much money to bother filing his taxes carefully once he wasn't drawing a paycheck anymore. 2 years ago, a late tax filing caused a temporary gap in a family member's GIS payment, and it took months to sort out with Service Canada. I share that story because it's common, and it's completely avoidable. Filing your tax return on time every year by the end of April, even if you owe nothing, is the single most important thing you can do to protect your GIS. Here's the mistake I mentioned at the very start of this video. Some seniors, especially those doing occasional part-time work or drawing extra money from an RRSP or RRIF in a given year, get surprised when their GIS drops the following July. GIS is reduced by 50 cents for every dollar of income above a small exempt amount. That means pulling an extra chunk of money out of savings in 1 year can shrink your GIS the next year, sometimes by a lot. This isn't a secret rule designed to catch you off guard. It's public, but almost nobody explains it clearly, which is exactly why I'm doing it right now. Let's talk about the other side of the ledger, the OAS recovery tax, which most people just call the clawback. This only affects higher income seniors, but I get asked about it constantly, so let's clear it up. If your individual net income this year is above approximately $91,000, the government starts reducing your OAS by 15 cents for every dollar you earn above that line. Once your income reaches roughly $148,000, your OAS is reduced to zero. For most of the folks watching this video, the clawback simply won't apply. But if you're close to that threshold, especially in a year when you're doing a large RRIF withdrawal or selling an investment property, it's worth a conversation with a tax professional before you pull the trigger, not after. So let's bring this back to the deposit itself, because that's what brought you here today. On August 27th, your CPP, your OAS, and your GIS, if you qualify, will arrive together in one deposit as long as you're set up for direct deposit, which the large majority of seniors are. If you still receive a paper check in the mail, Service Canada asks you to wait 5 to 10 business days after the payment date before you call, because mail delivery times vary depending on where you live. If the waiting period passes and nothing has arrived, the very first thing to check isn't your mailbox, it's your online account. That brings me to a tool I recommend to almost everyone I talk to, my Service Canada account. This is your free, secure online portal where you can see your exact CPP amount, your OAS amount, your payment history, and update your direct deposit information if you've switched banks. If your payment is ever late, missing, or looks wrong, this is the first place to check before making a phone call. It takes a few minutes to set up if you haven't already, and it will save you a lot of worry down the road. I want to leave you with one more thing because I think it matters more than any single dollar figure I've given you today. Your government pension isn't something you need to figure out perfectly on your own. If your CPP, OAS, or GIS ever looks different than you expected, that's not a sign you did something wrong. It's usually just one of a handful of predictable reasons: the quarterly adjustment, the yearly CPP increase, your tax filing status, or your income from the year before. Once you know those 4 things, the mystery mostly disappears. So here's the one thing to remember from everything we covered today. Your August 27th deposit will be higher than July's because of the 1.2% quarterly increase to OAS and GIS. Your CPP amount depends on your own contribution history and the age you started collecting, and if anything about your GIS looks off, the very first thing to check is whether your tax return was filed on time. That's it. That's the whole picture in plain language, without the jargon that makes so much of this feel more complicated than it actually is. If this helped make sense of your deposit, I'd be grateful if you hit subscribe. I put out a new video like this every week walking through exactly what's changing with your CPP, OAS, and GIS in the same plain, calm way I just did today. Next time, I'm going to walk you through exactly how much more money you get by waiting until 70 to start CPP instead of 65, and whether that wait is actually worth it for someone in your situation. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself and take care of your money.